Have you ever tried to memorize a text, spent hours on it, and felt like you forgot 80% the next morning? Yet your hands make a perfect chord change on the guitar, or you perform a series of skateboard moves without any error. And you do it without even thinking about it. This is the simple proof that memory, as a single concept, does not exist. Playing the piano without looking uses one part of your brain, but remembering the precise meaning of a copywriting term uses a different part. We tend to say, I have a good, bad memory. However, we realize that learning is the seat of memory, and that your brain is a true toolbox that contains 5 distinct memory systems. I won't talk about miracle pills or magic nootropics. They mostly don't work, and we'll see why. We're going to dissect these 5 types of memory, and I will give you the exact techniques to improve each one of them. The goal? To allow you to certainly improve your ability to learn, whether it's a new sports movement, a complex song, or a new business strategy. Let's start with a summary of the memory hierarchy. Short-term memories. We start with the flow of information, beginning of the path. 1. Sensory memory. It's the high-speed filter. It's the ultra-short flash that records everything around you. A noise, a smell, an image. It lasts less than a second. If you don't pay attention to it, the information disappears immediately. 2. Working memory. It's the workbench, the RAM. It's a conscious place where you manipulate information in real time. For example, to do mental calculation. But be careful, it is extremely limited. It can only manage 4 to 7 items at a time. It's your bottleneck for concentration. Then, long-term memories. If the information passes the working memory stage, it is archived in one of the 3 types of long-term memory. 3. Semantic memory. It's the encyclopedia. It's the database of all your facts, concepts, and rules. It's knowledge stripped of context, without reminding you when or where you learned it. 4. Episodic memory. It's the time machine. It stores personal events. Unlike semantic, it is deeply linked to emotions and sensory details, which allows you to remember the feeling or smell of a specific moment. 5. Procedural memory. It's the autopilot, the memory of how to do. It's pure skill. Once a skill like guitar or doing bench press is encoded here, it no longer requires any conscious thought to be executed. It is the most durable of all, and the most difficult to verbalize. See the trap? We sometimes try to input facts, semantic, with the techniques that work for the gesture, procedural, and that's where we fail. But before seeing the right methods for each type, we must first deconstruct the 5 myths that doesn't work. First, miracle pills or nootropics. Put aside almost all the miracle pills or nootropics sold on the internet. There is no solid evidence of their effectiveness in doubling your memory. It's often just caffeine and rebranded vitamins. Why doesn't it work? Because memory is not a chemical muscle. It primarily depends on attention, organization, and sleep. 2. Brain training apps. Generic brain training apps filled with repetitive memory games are also to be avoided. Why? Because you only get better at the game itself, not in real life. This is called the task-specific effect, and performance rarely transfers. 3. Subliminal music. Subliminal videos or music to instantly boost memory are very popular on YouTube, but your brain does not learn through subliminal messages. What can help is music that sometimes improves concentration, but that does not increase memory itself. 4. Ultra-fast reading. Ultra-fast reading methods do not increase memory. On the contrary, too high a speed decreases memorization because comprehension needs time. The brain cannot absorb more than its capacity to process information. And 5. Using 100% of your brain. We already use 100% of our brain, but not at the same time. The brain works like a network, not like a dormant muscle. Now that the space is clear and you will no longer waste your time, we attack the core of the topic. Here is the scientific action plan that works by adapting the right method to the right type of memory. We start with your bottleneck, working memory. The goal here is not to have more of it, but to use it better. It's the RAM of your brain. It's limited. It's also the only part where you're conscious. If it fails, everything collapses. Here are 3 techniques to make it more efficient. Technique 1. Chunking. Your working memory can only retain 4 to 7 blocks of information. A block can be a letter or an entire concept, like FBI. Chunking consists of grouping small pieces of information into larger, meaningful blocks. In life, a phone number that contains 7 digits becomes only 2 blocks of information. In art, if you're learning a new digital art technique, don't try to complete a full piece. Master one new tool or layering method. In sport, don't just play a game. Isolate and drill one component of a new move. Master the footwork first, then the arm movement. Try the cognitive load game. Use ChatGPT's or Gemini voice mode while you're doing a rote task, like stretching. The prompt: I want to train my working memory. Give me a list of 3 random words. I will repeat them backward. Then give me 4, then 5. Keep going until I fail. Technique 2. Monotasking. Pure multitasking is a myth. What you are actually doing is task switching, which forces your brain to constantly empty and reload your working memory. It is incredibly inefficient. Practice monotasking. Set a timer for 25 minutes, the Pomodoro technique, and dedicate yourself to a single task. For business, create specific blocks. For example, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. creative block with a phone off. 10 a.m. to 12 a.m. admin block. This eliminates the task switching penalty. Technique 3. Mindfulness. Working memory is almost identical to attention. A distracted mind is an inefficient working memory. Practice 10 to 20 minutes of Yoga Nidra or NSDR by lying still and mentally scanning your body to enter a state of conscious sleep. This rapidly flushes stress hormones and replenishes dopamine better than a nap. Now, semantic memory. The goal with this memory is to build a rich, connected, and easy to retrieve network of knowledge. This is your database of facts. Technique 1. Spaced repetition. This is the most effective way to store facts. Instead of cramming, you review the information at increasingly longer intervals, 1 day, 3 days, 1 week, etc. Use flashcard apps that have this algorithm built in. Notebook LM can also be useful and it's free. It's perfect for languages, medical terms, or even for retaining 3 key facts about a client before an important call. Technique 2. The Feynman technique. You don't know a fact until you can explain it simply. This method forces you to connect the new information to knowledge you already possess. After reading or watching video about a new concept, take a break and explain it out loud as if you were teaching it to a child. For moments when you stumble over gaps in your knowledge. This moves the information from I saw to I know. Technique 3. Mnemonics. This involves creating an association, like a story, an acronym, or a rhyme to hook a new fact. Example, to remember the 3 pillars of exposure in photography, aperture, shutter speed, and ISO, you can create a simple acronym, ASI, or a memorable phrase like always shoot images. This hook allows you to retrieve everything instantly. And just ask AI for it. Gemini is great to find good mnemonics. Now that we know how to logically anchor facts, let's move on the autopilot. We attack procedural memory. The goal here is to build muscle memory and automated skills so that they become fluid and effortless. Once encoded, this memory no longer requires any conscious thought. Technique 1. Deliberate and consistent practice. This is the most important technique. Procedural memory is built only through repetition, but it must be deliberate, focused on what you are doing wrong, and not mechanical. Practice 20 minutes every day rather than 3 hours all at once. For sport and art, identify your weakness, your Achilles heel, and spend 50 minutes doing perfect form repetitions and only that. Technique 2. Visualization. Your brain activates the same neural pathways when you vividly imagine a skill as when you actually execute it. Athletes and musicians all use it. Before going to sleep or before a big performance, close your eyes, mentally go through the perfect execution of the skill, step by step. Feel the brush, visualize the perfect shot. Technique 3. Practice, then sleep. Your brain consolidates motor skills, especially physical abilities during REM sleep. If you're learning a piece of guitar music, a practice session just before sleeping can be incredibly effective. Your brain will practice it for you while you rest. Now that the gesture is on autopilot, let's see how to store moments, emotions, and context. Let's speak about episodic memory. The goal here is to encode your daily experiences more richly so that you can recall them later with more detail. This memory is the only one that allows mental time travel. Technique 1. Be present and attentive. The number one reason we forget our own events is that we weren't paying attention to them in the first place. You can't recall what you didn't encode. When you meet someone new, be present. Stop thinking about what you're going to say. Listen, then anchor their name to a unique detail about them. For example, this is Mark. He's wearing a bright red tie. Technique 2. Daily active recall journaling. The act of actively retrieving a memory is what strengthens it. At the end of the day, spend 2 minutes writing down 3 things that happened. Be specific. Don't just write, I had a good meeting. Write, during the meeting, John made a great point about the new logo, and it made me feel blah blah blah. This forces your brain to replay the tape and mark the event as important. For your art, when working, don't just daydream. Notice the specific way light hits a building or the color of a shadow. Take a quick photo or write down 3 words about it. This builds a rich and searchable database of moments. Technique 3. The Memory Palace, method of Locci. This is the classic technique that links semantic memory, facts, to your powerful episodic memory, places. You use a familiar episode to store facts. Let's say you have a 5 points client pitch. Use your walk from the car to your office as a palace. Vividly imagine a caution sign, a problem, on your car door. Then a shiny key, your solution, in the hall, and money running down in the elevator. Business model. During the presentation, you just have to mentally walk this path. Finally, we finish with the first link in the chain, sensory memory. The goal here is different. You can't really improve this 1 second buffer. The objective is to improve the transfer of information from this filter to your working memory. Technique 1. Multisensory engagement. You must use more than one sense when trying to learn. The more hooks a memory has, the easier it is to pull. When you learn a new word, don't just read it. Say it out loud and write it by hand. This engages multiple sensory channels. Technique 2. Sensory awareness exercises. This is a simple game to train your attention to capture more details. Look at a room or a photo for 30 seconds. Then look away and try to list as many details as possible. In sport, don't just listen to the sound the ball makes on contact. Feel the pressure in your feet to gauge your balance. So about memory, it's simple. You can practice all these techniques, but they will fail if you don't have the foundation. These 3 pillars support absolutely every memory system. First, sleep. It is non-negotiable. Sleep is when your brain performs memory consolidation. A single night of poor sleep can wipe out your learning gains. 2. Aerobic exercise. It is the brain's fertilizer. Exercise triggers the release of BDNF, for brain-derived neurotrophic factor, a protein essential for growing new neurons. 3. Stress management. Your main stress hormone, cortisol, is toxic to your hippocampus, the memory center. Chronic stress degrades your ability to form any new memory. The final message is simple. If you want to improve your ability to learn a physical skill, don't aim to increase your IQ. Aim to improve your 5 memories. And the funny thing about memory is that certain activities have strengths and weaknesses. The brain develops differently depending on whether you do sports or art, and I talk about it in this video. The good news is that you can work on everything at the same time. If this video was useful to you, subscribe for more content to grow and become sovereign. See you next time.